Oh, it went all funny then. Hello YouTube, trippy lighting, I know. There's a friend here. Pop your head in. This is Mark.
Hello.
This is Mr. Geitling. He's got very plummy vowels and sounds like the Queen, okay, to all my American friends. You've probably met him before if you've watched my channel. Anyway, my last vlog, or the vlog before the last one, it might have been about cannabis. The one before that was about the New World Order 10 years on and how most of it's coming true. Well, just today, on the news this morning, there was a story that said 300 cash points are closing every month. And that's a 7-fold increase. That's in a period of 9 months. Since 2015, only 50 were closing a month. So because there's no profit. And you think, how do you make profit from a cash machine? Well, they have to be emptied. They have to be topped back up. And if there's no demand for them, because people are using contactless payment and not carrying any cash, they close. When they close, the next step after that is a chip in your arm.
Yes.
It's not far off that. Also, everything you buy and sell is taxed.
Yes.
You have to go back to old bartering ways. It's enslavement. Okay? The next thing that happened today, or this week actually, is John Lewis reported their loss. Their profits were just about breaking even, so it's not worth running a shop with all this stuff in that people go and look round. And also their online part of their system, more people are returning the stuff because they don't want the product, but it's costing them money in returns, right? So what they've done is they've regrouped 3 of their companies to John Lewis Group, sort of like in the sense of, so it's a John Lewis, what are they calling it? In partnership with Waitrose, in partnership with. Well, I used to work for Ocado in partnership with Waitrose, and the whole idea of that was to have a place, a central fulfillment centre, that people could conveniently have a time slot when their groceries were delivered and they got what they wanted in the shop, because people have fast lives and need things conveniently. So this completely fully automated warehouse was going to deliver that, and it's absolutely spot on technology. It's the most successful fully automated warehouse in England, right? I helped with that and I've seen it. Their agenda was to have everything going out of a fulfillment centre. So if they're in partnership with Waitrose, and Waitrose now in partnership with all these other people and everything's in partnership with, and they're having problems selling and making profit, the next stage is to have a fulfillment centre that fulfills collection points. Right? So the collection points, so you're going to have John Lewis collection point, Amazon collection point, Argos, same as Argos, it's going to be the same thing. Eventually, you won't actually be able to physically go into a shop and pick the product off of a shelf.
No.
You'll have to do it online and then pay with it with this cash, whether it's in your phone, which is if you've got a smartphone, that is a chip. But at least at the moment you've got the option to leave that at home. If it's in your arm, you haven't. No. Also, people can steal it, they just take your hand, they're not going to...
Yes.
It gets a little bit more personal, doesn't it?
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? There's lots, the government can turn it off, they could wipe it, there's no proof you've got it. There's loads of reasons as to why it's not a good idea. So, the more and more things that it goes on, it seems to me that just due to contactless payment more than anything, is the way that they're going to get their agenda in, because it's convenient. The amount of people who don't carry just £1, they come in and pay with a card 58p for a stamp. It's shocking, Mark. I understand contactless in a pub. I get that a little bit in a pub because it's in a pub, but not because you're at the bar and whatever else. But at the same time, most people have got like 20-30 quid to go out with and leave their card at home. I wouldn't dream of taking my card to the pub because I'd lose it. But a lot more people would take the card to the pub because they'd think no more of it and just cancel it the next day because they're not precious about it. Well, I'll think of it more of in a way that I don't want the inconvenience of not having my card, so that's why I'll take the cash. But also, I budget better. You take the cash out, you know where you are. But if people are not taking the cash out, then they're not going to provide the service. So if they're not going to provide the service, that's how they're going to wipe out cash. And they're going to wipe out cash. Not everyone's got a smartphone. How the hell are you going to keep the thing secure? You're going to put it in your arm.
Cash has only been around for a while.
I know.
It's a promissory note. It's a promissory note, and if the official cash vanishes, another cash
Maybe.
will.
But what will it be its value? Like gold is not really a value. Well, gold's no good to you if you've got no food, is it?
People.
What can you trade it for?
Well, exactly.
And there's an apocalyptic, say, sort of scenario. There's no point having gold.
Correct.
It's all right having gold in this kind of.
Well, it's quite interesting. We're going to have to find out.
Society.
We're going to have to find our idea of what we consider of value and wealth, because if you put everything into this piece of plastic or this chip that can be wiped out by an EMP or a virus or an 8-year-old hacker, I mean, your entire life is behind the screen now. Okay, it's very, very vulnerable. Sticking it behind a screen that you can't go. That's vulnerable. It's fascinating. It's like a life form, really. And actually, sticking all your eggs in one basket has been proven to be a bad idea. And so, therefore, I think that the market is run by apparently the invisible hand, which is that people buy what they buy. And that's
right.
And their impulse takes them that way.
Yeah.
And they tend to go cheap.
They're cheap as cheap as they can.
As
That's
cheap as
why
they can,
everything is falling apart the way it is, because we don't pay the right price for something. In retrospect, we don't. Because of the fact that our world is so. Oh, I don't know what the words are to use, but it doesn't cost. Say this phone here is £500 new to us.
Yes.
Right. It doesn't cost £500 to innovatively develop that and produce it the first time around. The only reason why we get that cheap is on a production line. But it's on a production line where we pay people pittance over there that actually make it. And the cheaper they get it, the cheaper we get it. So in actual fact, then people are losing out on the money, not us. It's the people further down the chain, because we get it actually quite cheap.
That's
to a point where it's not even to the cost of the materials that have been used to make it. That's how cheap it becomes. But the people who are down that end of the chain can't buy it because their wages are nowhere near the value of what the goods. Do you get what I mean?
Yes, that's known as economic slavery.
Yeah. So because of that, we in the Western world are actually in absolute abundance. But a few of us have realised, and I'm not saying that I'm any better than anyone else, but a few of us have realised that you can't constantly just live like that.
Consume.
Yeah. Yes. It's almost like oil's taken over. We know that oil's half the reason why cannabis is illegal, because of the hemp trade. In fact, you grow your own food, textiles, wool, rope, whatever else, not wool, sorry, rope, papers, whatever else in your back garden, even fuel, because you had ethanol. The government don't know what, and then you have pharmacy products, you don't make profit out of people who are well, do you? So you keep them sick with the food chain and everything else. It's just almost like people can't see what's going on, and it's every day. And I'll keep going on about it because every day there's more and more shit coming out, and it's getting quicker and quicker and quicker. It's not like it was before. 2 years later, something else happens. This is a week later, someone else is closing. Someone else is and people still. Oh, but
Well, we're watching a marketplace evolve.
Oh, but what? I understand some people's acceptance of it and understand it, and and think that okay, I'm quite happy with how that is. And there's going to be people whose opinions fine with it, because that's. But what concerns me is quite a lot of us ain't fine with it, and it's going to make life quite terrible if it's not manned properly. And we know how governments and anything of that nature, authority, don't use technology all for the greater good. They use it for the nasty side of its purpose as well, as we know. You wouldn't have a fucking nuclear bomb otherwise, would it? To be frank, we wouldn't be doing. The other side of it is, when mankind learned to do the other thing, to unfuse the fucking atoms. That's when we probably will wake up. I don't know. Because it's a complete fuck up, isn't it? Really.
Well,
in that respect.
I think we've been trying to break the world for decades.
Maybe. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's just human nature. Maybe we're just trying to drive ourselves to extinction.
Well, we get breakfast, lunch and tea shipped in from the other side of the world every day. And we're going to fail our CO2 targets this year.
Yeah, but that's the ironic thing. They've run out of CO2 to put into a fucking bottle. You can't buy beer because they can't use and food industry because of CO2 shortage. But there's enough up there that apparently we've got too much of. They can't suck it out of the atmosphere and stick that in a fucking carton, pressurise it, and fucking put it into a bottle. No, like, you know, the pressurised air car that runs on pressurised air and exhaust is pressurised air with its pressurised air engine. You know, it's not because there's a lot of fucking air around us at all, is there? Is it just me?
You're discontent, aren't you?
Yeah, I think it's because you know what?
You're
the
cross
moon. I'm cross because there's been a bit of solar activity.
Yes.
Right, there has been a little bit. Woo, and the moon is. I think it's decreasing now.
Yes.
It's on a decrease. Where are we now? Moon. Have you got anything else to say on the subject anyway? 83. So it's still a little bit lunatic out there, isn't it?
I think you're doing entirely fine.
So. Yeah.
On the CO2, however.
Right.
If you're going to miss your CO2 target, do you think it reasonable to be putting a third runway in at Heathrow?
No.
Good. Do you think it reasonable to replace, and I'm still thinking about this, to replace this family going to these shops and buying this stuff that they want and then travelling back home again, be it on bus or car, replacing that with this family staying at home and a horde of drivers now delivering tubes of toothpaste in huge boxes swathed in plastic? Do you think that is a better CO2 position?
I think the old fucking plastic needs to stop.
Do you think that the electronic market, and for instance, the electronic market has displaced the traditional market, and as a consequence of which is going to actually double the entire CO2 production of the mechanism?
Every single thing on this planet can be recycled.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why companies won't recycle it is because of money. So every single corporation should just be made to make things that they can also recycle. So once this MacBook here that we're recording a video on, that's actually 10 years old, I think it's actually 11 years old, 2009, it might even be 2008, no 2007 I think it is, yeah. 11 years old. So this, it's perfectly working, but there's bits in there that could be recycled, and it would cost money to recycle that, but they could recycle that and build another MacBook with it. Companies need to be thought, we need to take more responsibility for what we're using, because there's nothing wrong with having nice things and making things out of the minerals and the things out of the ground, as long as we don't completely and utterly destroy the planet at the same time. And like, you know, everyone changes their phone. Why don't you change the phone when it stops working? I was forced to upgrade my software today. This phone is 4.5 years old. I don't want to upgrade my software. It upgraded itself because it wouldn't work without a couple of them. The operating system I'm not upgraded, I could turn that off. Fucking apps, it went off and went, oh yeah, I'll have to update that, because it won't work. I need to communicate with someone on one of them, and it updated the rest of them, including Facebook. I was like, how dare you? Do you know what I mean? So what will happen now is, now because that's updated software, that updated software will now in turn make this technology obsolete, when in actual fact this technology is, how is this technology obsolete? This technology is faster than a computer that was made 10 years ago.
Do you think it's absolutely amazing that a species that's as stupid as this can create artificial intelligence?
Oh, it's dangerous. That's when I need to exit. That's when we need to go and find a fucking cactus. You know, one of those ones that makes you fucking go off and do some trippy thing. Take an overdose on something, because the moment AI is walking around that's got fucking arms and legs, I'm off.
Have you lost your trust in it all?
It's like the worst sci-fi movie going.
All the best.
I don't know, I can't quite embrace it just yet. How are you feeling about it? Are you having some kind of, is it because you can be the hero?
I think that all life is heroic.
Okay.
And so therefore, just being here is in fact enough. I'm alright with it. I think it's weird.
So you're alright with contactless?
I think I'm watching a duel between the Empire and the Horde. And I think that the Horde represents the criminal market, and I think the Empire represents the visual market that we see. And I think that this battle, this duel, has been going on for centuries, because this is a world, this is a place of duality. So if something exists, its opposite will also exist. Yes, and that's why, yeah, it's all about who's in charge of this turf. And people have always been arguing about that. So there's these two markets. And the Empire market has said, right, firstly, I'm going to nail all that cash under your mattress, Mr. Mafia, by changing the notes. And then it said, and now I'm going to nail you on all those coins you've got down the garden shed by changing the coins. And so suddenly, moguls who hadn't laundered their money and had simply saved it were suddenly wiped out. And I think that's a tactical strategic move in an ongoing battle between two economic forces arguing over
so you
turf.
almost see that happening.
I see that happening.
Okay.
And I
Come
see
to your conclusion.
yeah, I see the Empire moving the chip thing is the perfect control, because once the invisible hand, which is the market force, is now visible, and a man has to be witnessed by the Empire spending his money everywhere, he is no longer invisible. Now that wouldn't be a problem if we trusted the Empire to be reasonable. But we don't, because they're the Empire, just the way we don't trust the Horde to be reasonable, because they're below the Horde. So the extremes of either are untenable. So therefore I think that we'll probably muddle along in this mix, because we're in a time where everyone's lost their belief in everything.
Do you know what we're going to do?
Yeah.
We're going to come back here in either 6 months to a year and find out where we're at.
Find out if we were talking pants or not.
So we've got to stop now because it's getting too long and I haven't got much time on the old upload.
That's all right. I probably wouldn't have stuck to the end anyway.
We're at the end anyway.
I'd probably gone off and tried to find some porn by now if I was watching this.
Really? Peace, love and light.
Good night.